This is another edition of Wrestling with Regret. It's reboot month on the show, and this week I'm going to talk about the New World Order. No, not that version. I'm talking about the WWF version of the New World Order. Yeah. For a fleeting moment in the late 1990s, the nWWEo was the biggest thing ever to hit wrestling. It was a stable that debuted in July 1996, originally featuring Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. The trio portrayed a group of WWF defectors looking to take over WCW. These guys waged war on WCW. They beat the piss out of every wrestler who stood in their way, and they had fun doing it. The trio of Hogan, Hall, and Nash ushered in an era of the anti-hero, the bad guy that everyone wanted to be like. nWWEo merchandise flew off the shelves. The fans couldn't get enough. Yes, WCW knew they had something hot on their hands, so they did what they do with every good idea. They ruined it. The nWWEo remained a trio throughout the summer of 1996, but from September on, their numbers grew to ridiculous proportions. It got to the point where there were so many members crammed into the ring for a promo, some guys had to fight for screen time. And not only that, but over time the faction branched out into multiple divisions. nWWEo Black and White, nWWEo Red and Black, nWWEo Silver and Black, nWWEo Japan, the Latino World Order, the Midget World Order, the Furry World Order, so many world orders! The nWWEo made WCW popular, but it ultimately also caused the company's downfall. They were the focal point of almost every storyline the company was doing at the time. It oversaturated the product to the point where the act became stale and unwanted, and eventually the viewers made their voices heard by switching over to watch the WWF, which led to WCW eventually going out of business in 2001. Now you would think that with WCW dead and buried and all, no, not yet, no, not yet. You would think that with WCW gone, that the nWWEo would be gone as well. But thanks to the WWF and their knack for selling nostalgia, the band was brought back together one more time. In early 2002, Vince McMahon was in a troubled state. He was forced to share ownership of the WWF with legendary wrestler Ric Flair, and decided that if he couldn't get rid of the Nature Boy himself, he'd have to seek out help. Yes, McMahon would hire back the original trio of Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. The nWWEo was coming to the World Wrestling Federation to destroy the company from within. Now let's think about the context of this story. Let's just break it down for a minute. Now, it's already weird enough that McMahon would want to destroy his company from within by hiring the nWWEo, but just think about how the nWWEo would feel in this situation. I mean, to be brought in for that explicit purpose to destroy a company, I mean, can you imagine how that would work out in any other business or workplace situation? Mr. Jenkins, welcome to our company. Thanks, Mr. Barons. I really appreciate this opportunity. I feel I could be a really big asset to this firm. So tell me, what do you want me to do first? I want you to destroy this firm from the inside. I'm sorry? Cook the books, bribe government officials, kill a secretary or two if you got to. Just be sure to throw us under the bus when you're caught. At the No Way Out pay-per-view in February of 2002, Hogan, Hall, and Nash made their returns to the WWF after years of being away. Despite being marketed as a group of heels bent on destroying the company, the fans in attendance went bonkers seeing this group in a WWF ring for the first time in years.
Hey, yo.
The nWWEo did what they were hired to do. At No Way Out, the group attacked Steve Austin. The next night on Raw, the group took it a step further, taking a semi-truck and ramming an ambulance with The Rock inside. But the People's Champion somehow survived and went on to wrestle Hogan at WrestleMania 18. And you have one of the most memorable matches in history. Yes, despite committing attempted vehicular manslaughter on national television only weeks before, the fans couldn't stop cheering for it, and the WWF had no choice but to make him a good guy again. Hall and Nash recovered from this setback, however, by bringing in new members Big Show and X-Pac, reprising their former roles in the original nWWEo as the Giant and Six. And just when things were just starting to get going for the nWWEo again, it all went to hell. Kevin Nash got injured and was out for months. Scott Hall made a drunk ass of himself on an airplane and got fired. The original core of the stable was out of the picture entirely, so the WWF had to scramble. Storyline co-owner Ric Flair became a semi-member, which didn't really last or make much of an impact, and he hand-picked Booker T to be the next member of the group. In June of 2002, Shawn Michaels came into the group, which was pretty amazing at the time, seeing how he was mostly off television since '98. They then promptly kicked Booker T out of the group. Have I mentioned that at this point the last thing these guys did anything worth a damn was back in April? 1 week later, it was announced that the nWWEo was officially disbanded and was never mentioned again. So that's the story of the nWO and the WWF. It was ugly and it was sad. In terms of what the group was originally brought in for, it was a complete, utter failure of spectacular proportions. The group's run was completely toothless after the first month, and by the end, the nWO was nothing more than comic relief fodder.
It's the red bandana wearing grease rat. But be very careful. They tend to suck.
Cheeseburger.
But you can't entirely blame the WWF for nWO's failure. Between Nash getting injured every other month, Hall's demons, and Hogan being forced to turn face, they just could never get the ball rolling on a dominant nWO group. The storyline also reintroduced Shawn Michaels to our TV screens in a full-time capacity. Just a couple of months after becoming a member of the group, he made his long-awaited in-ring return at SummerSlam, and he wowed audiences until his retirement in 2010. But I'm admittedly reaching here. Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels probably would have come back to WWE eventually, just in different ways. You gotta give credit to WWE for taking a concept that wasn't really theirs to begin with, but still pushing forward with it, trying to make something out of nothing, despite all those bad breaks and the bad luck. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll learn from these mistakes and take some other old brand and revive it and make it even better then. Oh yeah.